About 2 months ago, I was browsing around on Newegg for cases and just kind of to see what's new, and I happened to stumble across this case. This is from Abco or Abconcore or Abco Encore. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that or what the exact name of the company is. I'm going to leave a link down below to their website if you guys want to go check them out. In any event, when I found the case on Newegg, I tweeted about it, and you guys seemed as equally interested as I was. Well, fast forward a little bit, and this shows up at my doorstep. They sent me over one to take a look at. So why don't we do that today? We're going to take it out of the box. We're going to see what kind of unique features this giant case comes with, and if it's worth a look for your next system. Assassinate high CPU temperatures with the brand new Deepcool Assassin 3 Twin Tower Air Cooler. Featuring 2 redesigned 140mm fans and 7 heat pipes for maximum thermal transfer, the Assassin 3 is not only rated for 280 watts TDP, but also stays remarkably quiet while doing so. With a stylish black and silver design, it will fit into almost every build aesthetic, so if you want to learn more, click the link in the video description. Well, I guess the first thing we need to do is take this thing out of the box. I did cut it open, but haven't yet had a chance to slide this bad boy out of here. So, oh God, this is heavy. All right, let me take this out of the box and then we'll restart this. So first impressions, what do we have here? Well, obviously a flat front, completely closed off with, wow, there's not even any room down here for airflow. But I don't think that the front is the primary source of fresh air because there are fans kind of situated all over the place on the interior of this case. We're gonna take a look at that in a second. But the side panel here is very, very dark. This tint is pretty heavy, and you're gonna need some serious lighting on the inside to be able to see your components. The rear panel, we can mounts for 220 or 140mm fans. This is a huge space. Looks like it comes with gloves. Let's check that out real quick. Yeah, it comes with white gloves that you're supposed to use to handle this case, I guess, which is pretty interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Also comes with a remote for your RGB effects and zip ties and a whole bunch of screws. Let's set that off to the side. We'll worry about that in a second. The steel used here doesn't look like it's, well, I guess it feels okay. It doesn't look particularly thick, maybe a little bit thinner than normal, but I don't see any apparent issues with a super amount of flex or anything like that. So I guess once we get into the interior, we'll be able to tell a little bit better. Full complement of expansion bays. This is a full tower case. This is not a mid tower. So you would definitely expect that. Let's get this side panel off and see what's on the interior. Well, what's on the interior is a metric crap ton of fans. And maybe the most interesting part of this is that some of these fans are actually backwards. Let's take a closer look at this. Okay, let's get closer to this interior here and take a look at all these fans and what I mean by backwards. So there's a total of 12 fans in this case. 2 plus 4 is 6, 3 is 9, another 3 is 12. And most of them are standard. So you have the fans blowing in the direction that you would normally think they would blow. The fan blades are here, the RGB effects and are on the outside, and then the fan blows in that direction. It blows away from the finished hub of the fan. And that's what all these are. But take a look at these fans. These fans have the same kind of RGB effect around the exterior, but the fan blades themselves are swept in the opposite direction. And this almost looks like a turbine impeller or something like that, with this weird like hump design for the hub. That's bizarre. I've never seen anything like that. But because of the way these are constructed, I guess when they spin, you still see like the finished side, but they blow air this way instead of that way. So that is certainly different. I don't think I've seen anything like that before, and that's pretty cool. I know a lot of people actually ask for fans that blow in the opposite direction, and I guess this is what they look like. So let me know what you guys think of that. But taking another look around the interior, obviously you have a fairly cavernous motherboard area. This is going to be for EATX boards. I think it could fit bigger than that. I'll have to take a tape measure of this. I'm not sure if this will fit like the Asus board for the 3175X. I forget what that one's called. But it's 14 by 14. So it'd be interesting to see if you could actually fit that kind of board in this space. This would be a really interesting case to do a build like that in. But you have this wire here, which looks like a receiver for the RGB remote. And then you have the rest of the fan wiring routed back through the grommets. And then that's kind of it for the interior. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 expansion bays. Obviously, this is for your I/O for your motherboard. Fairly large cutout for your motherboard access from the rear. And that's it. The rest is just bare. There's nothing up front. There's nothing down at the bottom. And there's nothing up at the top. I did want to talk about where these fans are actually blowing though, because the back of this case is tempered glass. There's no exhaust going out the rear of the case, or intake for that matter. So where are these fans pushing air to and or drawing air from? Well, these fans have maybe a ½ an inch of clearance down there to draw fresh air from, which is not a whole heck of a lot. And then these exhaust fans, if you look a little closer, go nowhere. They exhaust back into the case. Like behind here is solid. It's a solid piece of steel. And then behind here is actually the power supply shroud. So these are going to exhaust at least into a different chamber of the case, but they're not going to exhaust out of the case. So that hot air is actually staying inside the box. But these fans are just for show. These are literally doing nothing. They'll take air from here, which is the interior part of the case, not the exterior, and it's going to blow it into this back wall. And that's it. It does literally nothing. I guess they're going to look pretty when they're all lit up, but that's all they're doing. So these fans are functional. Back here, these are exhaust. They're going to exhaust air right out the back, and they actually have a good amount of room to do that. But now I'm questioning the airflow properties of this case. I was kind of hoping that these were going to exhaust out the rear, like we see in some of Inwin's cases, and the Lian Li PCO11 exhausts out the rear, and it works great. But these are exhausting into literally nothing. So that's super interesting design, I guess. Let's look at the back. All right, we've spun this case around here, and this is an enormous power supply shroud. Your power supply will mount right here, and then usually you'll be able to like tuck some wires or whatever here. Nice little opening to route them down. But look how much space is up here. This is the full width of the case for you to hide and store extra cabling, which is great for cable management. The front panel, which is power and reset, 2 USB 3, 2 USB 2, headphone and mic jack, and then the company logo, which does light up RGB. We'll check that in a second. So here's all your wiring, your front panel stuff, but they've actually pre-wired the reset switch down to here, which I assume is your RGB controller. So all the fans are already wired up, and this is a proprietary controller. Like let's unplug this. Yeah, this is not a PWM cable or anything like that. I've never seen this before. So this is a proprietary connector for these fans, for this controller, and unfortunately if you want to use these fans, you're going to have to use this controller. So there is some functionality built into it. We have speed, mode, and fan speed, which is good, but you can see that the reset switch is actually just hooked right in there. So the reset's going to function as probably like some kind of a color cycling device or something like that, so you could just press that from the front and then be able to cycle through some presets. It is Molex powered, which is always disappointing to see. I mean, look at that. Look at the Molex pins in there. Look how gross that is. Man. Switch to SATA, everybody. The rest of the case, rest of the back of the case, we have 1, 2, 3 2.5-inch sleds. These are thumb screws over here, which is good, but these sleds are pretty basic. I mean, I don't really require anything specific for a 2.5-inch sled. These are fine. And then you have kind of the same design for 3.5-inch sleds with mounting holes for another 2.5s if you need them. Depth here is pretty good. We have, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches or so of cable routing depth. This case is big enough that you should not have any issues with cable management. There shouldn't be any problem closing this back panel at all. And if you have that, then I don't even know what you're packing in here, but this will be interesting to test out to see how well this functions and what kind of RGB effects we can get, because you got to use it. If you want to use this case, you want to use these fans, you got to use this. And like I said before, as far as the exhaust goes, these are exhausting, but they're exhausting into the power supply chamber, and there's no way to get the air that's in the power supply chamber out. So that's disappointing. So I was about to show you guys how this remote functions because we got the RGB effects up and running in here. But guess what? No battery. This thing does not come with a battery. You gotta be kidding me. I have to go out to the store and buy a battery to operate this? That's stupid. Well, we got a battery for our stupid remote. Let's take a look at the lighting features we got. There's a whole bunch of like presets down here. When you first turn it on, everything's just white. So let's see what else it does. I guess it's like chasing around down there really, really slowly. Okay. 2 is red, just red. 2 is just red. Oh, it's fading. It's a really, I guess it's like a really slow breathe. What is Q4? Q4. This is a fade. Q5. Man, these effects are really slow. And I guess it's doing something over there. It's gonna, chase different colors around the fans. Q6. Neat, they're dancing around. Q7. That's your standard rainbow effect, I guess. Q8. Ah, look at that, RGB. And then I guess you could just cycle through the modes with the arrow keys too. Cool. Let's look at yellow. Make it yellow. Make it yellow. All right, it's not turning yellow. Let's go back to this. Ah. So the fans look good. How much air are they moving? You know, not a whole lot, to be honest. But you could adjust the fan speeds, including turning them off. You could just turn all the fans off. Which I don't know why you'd ever want to do that with your PC running. But there you go. You could just turn the fans themselves off and just have the RGB effects. So, weird. All right, let's get out of here. So guys, this is the Ramses 780 from Abco or Abcon Core or Abco Encore. Again, still not really sure. It's really interesting how companies try to make their cases new and different. And sometimes in the process of doing so, they go backwards as far as progress that has been made for airflow, for aesthetics, for basically everything. I can't imagine that a system built in here is going to perform that well thermally. There's a lot of fans, but they go nowhere. These are really the only fans back here that might actually do something, and that's just not enough. These, I put my hand over when they were running. They're not moving a whole lot of air, so even your intake from the bottom is not going to be that great. And then these fans, and then the fans over there just literally do nothing. So they look pretty. They have some interesting lighting effects to them. And there's a lot of space to build in, good cable management room, but I can't imagine you'd want to put a system in here permanently. You would not be getting the best performance out of it just because you literally might just overheat every part of your system just because the airflow is so poor. So anyway, guys, that's a first look at this case. Thank you very much for sending it over, Abco. I really appreciate it. I don't know that I like it all that much, to be honest with you. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Get subscribed if you're not already, and I will see you next time.